Oh snap, Dragonknight Magic Base Build Shooting Star Remix, it's out, here we go. 2.0.2 Dragonknight DPS build for Elder Scrolls Online. I've updated the build, shown you some veteran Dragonstar Arena footage. My best time yet was with my Nord Dragonknight. I'm going to show you what I found to be really successful DPS wise in Update 6 and show you guys how you can do it with and without really exclusive gear. So stay tuned, skills, gear, abilities, everything you need to know to make your Dragonknight shine. For this build, I want to talk about gear first. And I want to talk about two terms of gear. One, what you can do to be the most optimal badass-ass Dragonknight on the planet. And two, what you can do if you're not quite there yet. So there's a couple gear options for you. Basically, this is almost the same identical gear that I wear on my Sorc Ignition. So I have the two-piece Falcon Scoria. Falcon Scoria procs that meteor. As a Dragonknight, I live and breathe fire-based dots, damage over time. This thing does so much damage. It is utterly insane. If you can get it, great. I'm going to show you how to get away with it not having it. The other four-piece that I use is Martial Knowledge. I use 4 pieces of Martial Knowledge. So what does this do? Pumps my Magicka up and my spell damage up. It's going to be a common trend with this build. You want a lot of magic, a lot of spell damage, and a decent amount of critical. No matter how you get it or what sets you use to get it, you want that. So 4 pieces of that, and then a 2-piece Adroitness. Once again, spell damage. I also wear Cyrodiil's Light Rings, spell damage there. Maximum magic for the Arcane trait, and Necklace of Adroitness with reduced magic cost. I'll explain why reduced magic cost in a bit. And then I use Inferno Staff, so a Fire Staff. I would like Master Fire Staff if I had the Precise trait, because it would boost my magic even more. So if I get on this, I'm at 28k. That's as a Nord. So if you're a High Elf, you're a Dunmer or something else, you get 9% on top of that. So that's how I built this character. Now, if you don't have access to all this gear, this is from City of Ash, drops from the boss. This drops from the Undaunted Pledges. Martial Knowledge 14. Huge thanks to everyone in stream for donating the 14s to me. This drops from Treasure Chest and or Dolmens and Cyrodiil. And then Adroitness, the necklace and the belt drop from Crypt of Hearts. Cyrodiil's Light PvP only. Master Staff VR13 Dragonstar Arena, 14 Veteran Dragonstar Arena. Okay, so I'm using a lot of really high-end stuff. What you can do if you don't have access to that thing is use a couple different sets. One is Torg's Pack. Torg's Pack has a 2-piece bonus with tons of spell damage. This is craftable. It doesn't take a whole lot of traits, so it's easy to use. So what I would recommend is at least a 2-piece. You could even go 3 if you wanted more health, because the more health you have, the more attributes you can spend on magic. Speaking of attributes, so Torg's Pack is a really good craftable set that you can replace it with. Another undervalued set that you can get pretty cheap for endgame is the Destruction Mastery. Increases max magicka by 6% while you have Destruction Staff equipped. So not only does it give you max magic, spell damage, but the amount of magic that increases combined with Inner Light, you're looking at what, 12 to 13% more magic. So as a Nord Dragonknight, this would be huge since I don't have a passive or racial to boost my magic. Remember, more magic, more spell damage, the harder you're going to hit. So that's a good way to get around that if you don't have the super high-end gear. And then another thing I was going to talk to you about is Twilight's. Twilight's Embrace, a 4-piece is a really good set for that. So you get health, critical, and spell damage. So if I were going to do this, as a crafted one, I would probably go 4-piece Twilight's, and then maybe a couple piece, you could do a couple Torg's Pack, and then something else with maybe magic recovery. So that's what I do for the gear. And you can still really rock this build with craftable gear. That's not that expensive to get. So don't think you always have to have the super high-end gear. So for attributes, I did 5210. You want to get to 20,000 health on your structured entropy bar. We'll talk about that later. And then everything else into magic. I went with the Atronach. Reason why, I'm a Nord. I have no passive magicka recovery whatsoever. So it's imperative that I have some way to keep my magic up. And for me, at 1100 magicka recovery, that's pretty good. So as a Nord, I went with this. If you have some magical based passive, like a Dunmer or a High Elf, Switch this out for more magic. I would really recommend more magic, or even the shadow for more spell damage, or spell critical. Okay, so I got that. I use the blue food, the blue VR10 food. So it gives me two stats. Max health, max magic. That's what we want. So that's kind of how you can optimize it. I don't use the Panacea of Spell Power. I use actually just the normal potions here, the really cheap ones. I'd recommend carrying a bunch of those on with you, just because you're going to be going through a lot of potions. Because you're a Dragonknight, a Nord, like my guy, I have to get magic back somehow. So with a combination of using ultimates and these potions, you're going to be able to sustain a lot. Was able to clear Dragonstar Arena, didn't die once in veteran mode, so it is pretty tanky, even surprisingly for a light armor build. You're a Dragonknight, play like one. Get up in their face, burn them down. And let me show you how to do that with the skills. Alright, let's talk about skills real quick. I use a double destruction staff setup. You don't have to, but what I found is most advantageous for me. So bar 1 was where I spend most of my time. It's my high, big damage, flame, and sustained. So let's go through these here real quick. The way I get the major prophecy or the critical buff is through inner light. That's just the always toggled on ability. Now I was using Flames of Oblivion / Sea of Flame. The thing is about this ability is, yes, the dot is really cool, but they have to be in certain range. It seems kind of buggy, and you don't get that much magic out of it. So while it's interesting and cool, Sea of Flames is really good for clearing mobs, like just clearing out a bunch of mobs doing like Dragonstar Arena or just soloing around. But this, for single target sustain damage, is key. And why I say sustain, remember that every Mage's Guild ability that we get on our bar, we get 2% magic recovery and max magic. So it's important to have these on. So I really, really like Inner Light. We were talking Mr. T, Brick, and Swole, and some other really good players, and they recommended this, tried it, I didn't go back. Next ability, Force Pulse. Kind of like my Sork. You know, this is our damage one that we're going to cast all the time. It doesn't have an interrupt on this one, so you're going to have to either stay close and bash them or have other way to interrupt the enemies. This is the ability we're going to cast a lot over and over and over after we've applied a couple dots. So as our dots, our main dot is Engulfing Flame. So Engulfing Flame does 5,800 flame damage over 10 seconds, and they take 10% more damage from flame. That's huge for a Dragonknight. Now, I was using, in some of my videos, I was using Burning Embers, using both of those dots, and that's really good for single target, but it just doesn't have the AoE damage that I can do with my next ability, which is Fire Ring. So that's Impulse in the Destruction Staff skill line, the last ability in the Destruction Staff skill line. It's just utterly amazing. Does magic damage up front, then a dot, in an AoE area, 6-meter radius. The reason I like this now is because I can have one bar that does everything. Does range damage, does, you know, AoE damage, I can spam it. It just has everything on one bar, making it so much easier to play. So I like this. The last ability is Structured Entropy. I don't even have it leveled yet, but this is what increases our spell damage by 20%. Also increases your max health by slotted. So on this bar, I get a lot more health, thus I can dump more points into my magic, more attributes. That's why I like this. Also, it gives me, guess what, more max magicka and more magicka regeneration for just having it slotted. Last ability, Replenishing Barrier. This is a weird one. Now, this comes directly from Mr. T and Brick. So thanks for giving me this tip, guys. But the interesting part about this is we're not going to use this ability a whole lot. And like, oh crap situations we will, just to like basically get through something. But the really cool part that they told me about is, if you have this Magicka Aid and you have 2 ranks in it, you're getting 10% max Magicka recovery just for having it slotted. So, do the math. 2% here, 2% here, and you could have 10 for having this one here. So that's like 14% more magic recovery, making it so much better to sustain. So on this bar, really I have those 2 Mage's Guild abilities. I'm proccing the 20%. All you got to do is apply the flame damage, do an AoE when necessary, keep the Structured Entropy up at all times. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. But this is pretty simple. Dot, dot, bang, Force Pulse, PUD. Bar 2 is more a utility bar. So we have to have Inner Light on here so it doesn't turn on and off. The second ability, Extended Chains, you just can't get past chains as a Dragonknight. Chaining enemies is too helpful. Eruption. Yep, Eruption. This is interesting. 18 seconds duration, and you throw it at the ground. Guess what? It does damage over time, thus proccing our meteor set. So you got a couple options with this. You can run this, or another really good one is Razor Caltrops. You can actually run both in an AoE situation. I mean, I was getting like 30,000 damage a second in AoE situations with both of these. So it's a really interesting way to run it, though I go with Elemental Drain in my 4th ability. This is why I have Double Destruction. I'm a Nord Dragonknight. Elemental Drain reduces their spell resistance, so you're going to hit harder first off, but it restores Magicka every time I'm attacking a person, every time I'm weaving in light attacks. So this is how I get around attacking a boss like indefinitely and almost never running out of magic, is getting this. So I like Ele Drain. But you could go Restoration Staff if you had more sustained and maybe put a little healing here to help out. So I swap this in and out. If I'm doing a fighters, like maybe doing a run with Undead, I'll go Evil Hunter here. A couple different options. This 5th ability, Green Dragon's Blood. Now, it's a self-heal, basically, is what I use it for. So, in oh crap moments where the healer's down or something, I can basically survive a very long time just because of this ability. If you have a really well-coordinated group that knows what they're doing and you have no need for self-healing, then take this off for something else. Razor Caltrops usually goes here if we're just farming mobs. But I love Green Dragon's Blood. Still really useful. And Shooting Star. Yep. I didn't even know I would name a build after an ability that I would use, but the Shooting Star is like the new Dragonknight standard. You gain ultimate back for each enemy you hit, you do a massive amount of flame damage up front and over time. It's just incredible. The amount of ultimate that you get back is so important as a Dragonknight because the Earth and Heart passive Battle Roar. Activating ultimate restores Magicka stamina for the 70% of the ultimate cost. So it's so helpful as a Dragonknight because that's how I get my resources back, is with ultimates. So every ultimate that I get back for hitting an enemy gets me closer to an ultimate, thus flooding me with tons and tons of resources. So that's kind of how I sustain as a Dragonknight. I always apply this on like my main target that's going to last for more than 3 seconds. And if it doesn't, I just don't even apply this. And then I use this Shooting Star on a group of mobs to get back, 60-some ultimate. It's super important. That's how I sustain with this build. I never thought I could do a magic-based Dragonknight build that could sustain, but it really does. And that's why the reduced cost here on Neck of Adroitness, I really like 1 reduced cost. It's super valuable. And so that's the skill setup. I want to kind of show you, go kill a couple mobs and show you what it looks like in combat. Alright, so I'm going to show you basically the sample rotation of what I do. It's really simple. First off, you're going to have Inner Light on at all times. I always have a potion quick slotted. I use potions early and often. So as soon as I do my rotation, slap a potion, get it off cooldown. So what you do is as you close the distance with this, you're going to use Structured Entropy. That's going to give you 1, a huge spell power boost for your next ability, and 2, it's going to keep that Major Prophecy, giving you way more spell power. As you close the distance, you're going to use Engulfing Flame once, and then you're going to use Fire Ring. That's 2 dots, actually 3 dots sticking. Structured Entropy is a dot, Engulfing Flame, Impulse, and then even a light attack in between. So you have a lot of dots sticking. Then you're going to go through your Force Pulse rotation 2-3 times, go back, apply Engulfing Flame, Structured Entropy, Impulse. So just keep in mind, this is about 15 seconds, this is 10, this is 10. So that's kind of your inner, workings of how you're going to keep this up. The back bar here, you can use Eruption if you know the boss is going to be stable, or you can start off with Elemental Drain. Though for this guy in particular, he'll probably die really fast, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then also he's going to be chasing me. We don't have a tank, so I'm not going to use that. Alright, so let's try this out. Light attack, Structured Entropy, light attack, Engulfing Flame, light attack, Fire Ring, light attack, Crushing Shock. He goes away. My 2 10-second dots are up. Going to recast those. Got those going on. We got some extra mobs here. We got a bunch of mobs. Engulfing Flame them first, then Impulse. Engulfing Flame. Keep up your Degeneration proc, or your Structured Entropy. That's pretty much it. I guess we could go fight this thing. Do a bunch of mobs here. You guys want to see that? Alright. Well, you can't say no. Potion, Structured Entropy. Boom. Here we go. Come at me, bro. I'm a Nord. What you know about Nord? Look at, oh my god, that's hitting hard. Oh, I got my 2 dots on him. Structured entropy's going down. Recast that. After I nuke this guy. There we go. Self-healing. Meteor. Elemental drain. 2 dots are down. 1 dot up. 2 dots up. Go back to doing this. My DPS is starting to spike. See, it's getting up there now. You can do 12, 13,000 damage single target on this guy, no problem. Alright, new boss. 2 dots. Gonna go back to bar 2. Put eruption down. Get a little self-healing going. Structured entropy's going down. Potion. Boom. 2 dots back up. Couple weaves here. I'm getting low health. No problem. I'm a Dragonknight. No big deal for Dragonites. Block. Oops. That was a misclick. Structured entropy. Uh-oh. More guys. Here we go. Now we're getting nasty. So dodge roll. And meteor. Here we go. Dodge roll. 30% health. You can't kill me. I'm a Dragonknight, bro. I watch Deltia's videos. Fine. I'll keep self-healing. Don't worry. You can't kill me, bro. Potion. Bob and weave. You actually have to move. 2 dots. 10%. No Dragonknight execute. Look, my ultimate's back up. Ultimate's already back up. Boom. Yeah, and a meteor just for good measure. So that's kind of how it looks like doing damage. Now, if you're in a group setting, you're going to be able to, you know, have a tank, and you're not going to have that much pressure, but you can see I'm pretty survivable even in full light armor. Love this build. It really works. You got to use ultimates to get your resources back. So meteors all the time, that's what's going to help you get those resources back. I was just about to get an ultimate off. So that's kind of how the skills work. Let's talk about champion points and wrap things up with this awesome build. All right, I'm up to 110 champion points already. Yes, I play a lot. So I want to talk about champion points and kind of some of the passives you can aim for that are going to be really advantageous for you. First off, in the green, the Thief. There's a couple different things you're going to go for. One is either going to be the 30-point passive here or tons of reduced cost. So the 30-point passive I like is Synergy. Grants 2 ultimate anytime you activate a Synergy. So as a Dragonknight, I'm usually up in melee range. I'm clicking a lot of synergies, and this lets me get back ultimate. Remember, ultimate is used not only for ultimates, but getting our resources back as a Dragonknight. So it's imperative to have this, I think. So the one thing that I use it on is magic recovery. Now, truly the better way to keep your sustain up, I'm finding out, is reduce magic cost. So even a few points into here after you get that 30-point passive really, really helps. I like that in the green. The rest of this stuff, not too advantageous for us to get. So I go 30 points here and the rest in the tower. Okay, so the Apprentice. Now, I was experimenting a little bit here with just going straight fire damage, and it did not work. I would really recommend mixing up 3 of your things, a little bit Elfborn, a little bit Elemental Expert, a little bit Spell Erosion. So get that 30-point passive here, Spell Precision. Once you get 30 points in here, you're going to want to go over here, actually, and put a couple points in your staffs. So even 1 to 2 points, getting 2 or 3% more damage on your destruction staff is actually going to do a lot of damage. So I wouldn't go too far up in here, but if you got 30 points, get that passive, come over here, dump a couple in here, and you'll see a DPS increase. I just highly recommend don't do the 30 points in one thing. Do 15, 15, 15, or whatever points you have. Mix it up. Diminishing returns really starts to hit hard, you know, more points you go into. So do that, you will increase your damage. The red. Okay, so I have 1 point in here just because I had 1 extra point, but really I go heavy into this one. So I go thick-skinned, reduced damage. You could probably mix them up with all 4 here. So a few points in light, a few points in here. The one thing you really need is the lady. You want to get that big, huge magic flood back when you get hit hard. Essentially, if you get hit hard and lose 30% of your health from fire, flame, whatever, you can just use Green Dragon's Blood and be at your normal health again. So it's almost like a safety net for you. And if you're doing PvP, you know, the 30-point passive here is great. If not, you wanted maybe some more, protection for barrier and stuff like that, you could go here, increase your absorbing effects, but I really like this particular thing here. Also, spell resistance is really important moving on later in the game, especially doing high-end content. If you're going to do like Trials, Serpent, that type of thing, there's spell resistance goes a long way, and so does the Nirnhone trait. So that's kind of the quick, dirty rundown of champion points. It's what I found to be most effective in doing a good amount. Well, gang, that's a build. Big shout out to Brick and Mr. T for helping me tune it up a little bit for endgame. I wanted to make sure that it could reach all the DPS checks and do any content in the game, and as you can see from this video, it definitely can. I really appreciate everyone watching and staying tuned for the Dragonknight. It's my favorite class by far, you guys know that. I will be completing the tank guide very soon. I've just had way more time doing DPS, so I wanted to show you guys how to do that. Also, make sure to check out other YouTubers. There's some really good Dragonknight builders, specifically Moving Target. If you guys haven't checked out his site or his work, I'd highly recommend it. Really nice YouTuber, very, very good player. So if you're looking for something ultra high-end, I would check out his work. Stay tuned for more Dragonknight builds and other classes too. And thank you so much for watching, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't.